Well, good evening, Milestone. Hey, thanks for joining me tonight. It's been an eventful week, to say the least, hasn't it? To go through all that we've been through over the last 7 days in our country, and to end with today having our president impeached. Well, I don't want to get into the politics of it and choose a side or whatever. That's not why we're here. But I just want to be current and say that's where we are today. And I think, to be honest with you, here's how I really feel. I just want it over. I don't know about you, but I'm not really known for my patience. And for something like this, I want it to be over and done with. I just want to move on, get to the end of the story, whatever that next chapter is, and however this works out. And to be honest, that's how I feel about COVID as well. I want to be post-COVID. I want to be looking back and saying, oh yeah, remember those days where we couldn't meet all together. We couldn't do this and we couldn't do that and the other thing. I want to be post-COVID. I want to get this over with. I'm so impatient. I want this to be done. I was talking with someone earlier, and they were saying how they were driving up 295, and they were so frustrated because they were in the passing lane going 65 miles an hour behind someone else who had the audacity to go 65 miles an hour in the passing lane. Mind you, that's the speed limit. But the person was saying, that's just not the way it's supposed to be. They're not supposed to be going slow or the speed limit in the pass. Anyway, I digress. Some of you are maybe you would relate with me and you say, this new year has been a challenge. I made some New Year's resolutions and it's just not going so well. I'm a week or 2 weeks into it and I want progress. I said I was going to lose weight. I didn't lose a single pound yet, but I'm starving to death, it seems like, and I'm just eating rabbit food all the time, or maybe you're trying to get in shape, or maybe you're trying to not use cuss words, or maybe you're trying to do something different. I don't know what it might be, but you've resolved to change, and it's like, man, it's not getting any easier. It's not getting any better. I just want it to be over with. I want it to be done. The truth is that all relates to patience. And for each and every one of us, I don't know many people that are super patient. But I know this, that my God is patient. He is absolutely, amazingly, overwhelmingly patient. Let me describe that for you tonight. He is so patient that in the very beginning of the Bible, you have Adam and Eve that sin against God, and God does this amazing thing right from the get-go. He gives them hope and says he will send one that will take care of this sin. It's Genesis chapter 3. Now, you would expect in our way of thinking that it would be within the timeline or within the lifespan of Adam and Eve. But that's not at all what happens. And Adam and Eve were expecting that as well. That's the way they named their children. Like, is this the one? Or this is probably the one. And so there was an expectation that Adam and Eve would see the Messiah in their lifetime. That's their level of patience, much like ours. But God is so patient that God said, no, I have a plan that is way different than yours. As a matter of fact, I have a plan that's going to be thousands of years and generations upon generations, and it's going to be me getting a group of people, and we're going to call them the Israelites, and I'm going to have different things happen throughout this time to set up this amazing plan where Jesus Christ comes to this earth. And so as he does, you see in Genesis chapter 3, there's the beginning, and then you look at Genesis chapter 6, chapter 12, and you walk all the way through Genesis, and you see little plot points along the line, and then you get in and you see the Old Testament or the Hebrew Scriptures just going through a huge timeline of pointing forward and saying, he's coming, he's coming, he's coming, he's coming. And all the while, they're pointing out and they're saying, this one that's coming, by the way, he's going to be born in this town. And he's going to be born at this time. And he's going to be born from this people. And gives all these different descriptions of this one. That's amazing patience. The whole redemption story from the Garden of Eden all the way to when Jesus comes, it's all a picture of God's patience. His redemption is absolutely patient. He works over time, and he's not sitting there saying, I got to get this done with. I got to get this over with. It's got to be now. He is very patient. Galatians chapter 5, it says that we should have the fruit of the Spirit. This is in verse 22. It says the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, and then he says patience. Patience. The fruit of the Spirit, it's patience, and so therefore patience then comes from God, and God is patient. And we can go to all kinds of different verses, but for sake of time, I didn't want to go through all the different verses to be able to jot out there. But you can see very clearly that God is patient, and he calls for us then to be patient. Not on our own, but that God gives the fruit of the Spirit that is patient. So we should be depending on God for patience. So while we are waiting for this thing to get done or happen or to whatever it might be, God's saying, no, your reliance needs to be on the Holy Spirit then. So that instead of depending on yourself to wait and to hold on and to kind of grip yourself a little bit more and, I can make it. Let's depend on God to give you the strength to be patient in those moments. What does that look like? I find that most people, just like me, are not patient with themselves. That here we want to be better than we actually are. We don't want to say the things that we said yesterday and let our mouth speak when it shouldn't speak. We don't want to do the things that we know they're just not right, and we've been working on it and you want it to be over with, and then when you fail, you're just kind of beating yourself up and saying, I'll never get there, and kind of frustrated and give up, and sometimes we get there, don't we? But here's what patience looks like. It's the redemption story all over again. It's looking at the Garden of Eden all the way through to the time where Jesus came. It's that God is so patient in plotting out a timeline that's perfect. And if God is that patient in that way, and it says that he's patient with us all the way through in the same kind of way, that while we struggle, while we go through our ups and our downs, we stop, and in the midst of our down, and instead of saying, I should be over, I should have gone further, and get impatient with ourselves, we stop and we say, God, give me the strength to be patient with me. Because I want to be over this. I want to move on from this. I want to be done with this. And so instead we pray and we give God the just the right and the just the respect in saying, God, I need you. And so in our maturing process, we need to grab a hold of patience. That we're patient with ourselves, and then as well we're patient with others. That we're patient with people around us that are struggling. Patient with people around us that they have blind spots that we are not even, that they're not even aware of, but we can see, and we're patient with them. We're patient with people that are different than us, that think different, that act different, that vote different, that whatever it might be, that we're patient with people around us. That's a fruit of the Spirit. We're even patient with people that drive slow, right? Here's the reality. God greets our failures, our weaknesses, our struggles with patience. He doesn't greet it with disgust and shame and, I can't believe you. He greets it. He looks at it through the lens of patience and saying, yes, child, yeah, you failed. But as it says in Proverbs, a just man falls 7 times but gets back up. And as Jesus instructs Peter and says, how often should you forgive? Not 7, but 70 times 7. It describes God as being patient. And so God is patient with us. We should be patient with ourselves. We should be patient with others as well. And so today, as maybe you're frustrated as I find myself in this kind of tense time of life, wanting some of these things to go away and be over with, saying this prayer to God, God, would you give me the strength to be patient during this season? Give me the strength to be patient and not speak my mind and speak in a way that's foolish. Give me the strength to be patient and not say or do the things that I know are not supposed to be. But give me the strength to be patient so that your Spirit would work and I can be a blessing to those around me. Can I encourage you to pray that way? Can I encourage you, don't insist others to grow up faster than they need to grow up. Don't insist on others agreeing with you the way that you want them to. Don't insist on, be patient with those around you and be patient with yourself. God is patient with you, and God is patient with others. So therefore, we need to be patient with ourselves and with others and give God the glory as he gives us the strength to do that. Hey, thanks for tuning in tonight and joining me for this midweek time. I hope that this is an encouragement. I hope that you'll apply this. I always say this, don't pray for patience, though. Pray for the strength to be patient, right? Praying for patience means God's going to give you all kinds of things to say, hey, let's test the patience then, because trials, that's what brings it up. But pray for the strength to be patient. And just join in doing that together throughout this week. And as we do, our church has the opportunity to come together and love on each other that much more because we see each other all as a work in progress, much like God sees us as well. Hey, thanks again. Have a great night. I'll talk to you soon. Love you, church.